Hello everybody, welcome back to Frontier Patriot for another Chew and Chat. I'm Ron Rayfield and this is Justine Dorn, my beautiful fiance slash co-host. And today we have, I don't really know what this is. It looks quite interesting. What is this?
As Gordon Ramsay would say, it looks like a skin graft.
Ew.
It looks like a medical experiment gone wrong. Now these are boiled fruit dumplings, which sounds absolutely incredible, and I had extremely high hopes for these. And everything looked like it was going according to plan. Everything was going great until an hour later, I took them out of the pot of boiling water, and now it looks like eyeballs that have been boiled.
Ew.
I'm sorry, but that's what it looks like.
I don't want any.
You have to try it.
I don't want to try it. It looks gross.
Yeah, it does look pretty gross. It's very Halloween-y.
Now, you all remember last year we did the jelly rolls?
Yes, we did.
And those were interesting.
Not that good.
So,
they remind me of this a lot.
That's how I'm thinking this is going to be like.
Yeah. So these come from Modern Domestic Cookery, which was published in 1828. It's actually an American cookbook from the early 1800s. And this book is very, very interesting. It's one of the rare early 1800s American cookbooks out there. I haven't seen too many other people reference it in the past. It's kind of harder to find, but the book is like this thick.
Is it really?
It has so many receipts in it, which back then was the word they used for recipes that we use today.
Right.
But I think there were so many recipes in that book. I mean, like literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, the most I've ever seen, that I don't think the cook started really trying them out. Like, there were just so many in there that I think he just threw it in there. It was like, oh, my cousin's brother, he makes boiled fruit dumplings. Let me put them in the book. I've never tried them, but maybe they're good. I don't know.
The same follows today. Just because it's in a fancy cookbook or whatever, it doesn't mean it tastes good. Just because you see it on the Food Network and Bobby Flay makes it, or Gordon Ramsay, might be good, or it might not be good.
Yeah, it might look good, but in reality it tastes bad, or it might look bad but taste good, or it might just be bad all around.
So you said the modern interpretations say to boil these for like 10 minutes, not an hour, right?
Yes,
That's
okay.
a big difference.
So in the receipt that I used from 1828, everything was going absolutely fantastically well. These looked scrumptious until it said boil for 1 hour. Now, people still make boiled fruit dumplings today, especially over in Europe. It's a very common thing, but they boil them for 10 to 15 minutes, usually like 12, 13 minutes, and they turn out looking absolutely delectable. So why in the world did this guy think it was a good idea to boil this for 1 whole hour?
You know, I think you're right. He just needed filler in his book.
I kind of think
Most
so.
puddings back then are the boiled puddings, and those take an hour or so to cook. So I'm thinking he just, make them, 1/4 the size and boil them for an hour. And then on to the next thing.
I don't think he actually tried it. I mean, I really don't. So you might be thinking like, oh, you could have made them bigger maybe, and then they would have boiled an hour. The dough still would have been a soggy, nasty mess. It doesn't matter if it was this big or this big. It still would have come out looking like a boiled eyeball. It's just a matter of, is it a large animal's eyeball or a little toad's eyeball? It does not matter.
See, I don't understand why he had us make, or had you make puff paste with the layers and butter when you're just going to boil it and you're not going to bake it. That's the whole point of puff paste, is when you bake it, it's so flaky and it's got the layers and the air bubbles because the layers with the butter. So
it's a very weird recipe. And now another thing could be argued about that, because I really sat and stared at this for a while, because sometimes recipes of this time period are vague, because these books were made for cooks. They weren't usually made for just your every whatever Joe on the street. So I was wondering if, because it said to use puff paste, did that mean I had to boil it in a pudding bag? But even then, puff paste isn't really appropriate. Like, even then it would have still come out really flat and just doughy and whatever, because there's so much butter in it. But usually in this time period, when it's supposed to be boiled in a pudding bag, and every other recipe in this book that was a pudding, it said boil in a pudding bag. This recipe made no mention of boiling it in any kind of vessel. So I just threw it directly into the water like it told me to do, and it turned out a little weird.
Well, I mean, if you put it in the bag with all those individuals, it's just going to be a big blob, and you can't put 50 bags in a pot for those little
individually wrap them up.
That'd be crazy, insane.
That would also be very particular and peculiar instructions if it wanted every individual dumpling to be wrapped up in a pudding bag. So I think it would have mentioned that. It would have said individually wrap them all up, but it didn't say anything like that. So it's implied you just throw them in water and boil them.
I think he just made some stuff up and he didn't experiment and critique or fine tune it.
Right. Plus, why boil it in a pudding bag for an hour when you could just boil it in regular water for 10 minutes like people do today?
Or bake it.
But you could have just boiled them for 10 minutes and it would have turned out great. So I don't know what he was thinking.
Can I have some tea, please?
Yes, you may have some tea, and you better try these.
I'll try one, but I'm thirsty.
Try them. Okay, so today we have cranberry tea.
From Oliver Pluff.
Yes, which is a historic tea company that specializes in recreating tea flavors from the 18th and 19th centuries. We are not sponsored. We just like tea.
Oh, yeah. And they got good coffee, too. I tried some of their coffee before.
Yeah, it's very good. So this is cranberry tea, and cranberries are native to North America.
The cranberry is my favorite flavored tea that they make.
Yes, I think it is our favorite. From them, at least, it's cranberry. And I'm enjoying it off of Chicky shaped coasters, which was kindly sent by a viewer a week ago. Thank you. They are the cutest thing ever. We adore them.
They look like Colonel Sanders.
Yes.
Rest in peace.
Yes. Now, speaking of how a viewer mailed us something, we have a new P.O. box.
So we just set up a new P.O. box. We're working on the transition from our old address here in town in St. Genevieve to where our home is going to be. So we figured P.O. box is the best way to go for that transition because we'll keep the P.O. box for, a long time. So our new P.O. box is, get your pen and paper out, is 328 St. Genevieve, Missouri.
That's right, and if you want to see it, again, it's always in the About section of our channels. Ron's channel, where you're at right now, Frontier Patriot, and also mine, Early American, on the About tab.
That's right.
Yeah, so in the past, you might have heard this, but we gladly accept letters or anything, and we will write you back with a handwritten letter. So we always had some kind of a shipping address on our About tab, and people would write us letters. Every once in a while, we would get really, really cool things like these coasters. Thank you so much. So we just changed our address.
Yes. Well, let's dig into this little dessert here.
Yeah. I already tried it, so I'm a little curious. Okay, shall we ding?
Nah, it's not appropriate for this.
Oh, okay.
Smells like boiled dough. Ew. Alright, let me try one. It's got some raspberry on it.
We're just quiet right now.
I don't like it.
I don't like it.
It's slimy.
It's slimy. Yeah.
It's like chewing on a big booger.
Ew! Now I can't eat it at all anymore. You said I was ruining it for you? That ruined it for me. Yeah, the texture, it is very, very slimy. I mean, you can probably tell just from looking at it. It's very slimy. It's very gooey.
Even when I cut it in half, you can't even see the raspberry anymore. It's like it's seeped out of it or something, or it's soaked into the dough, and it's just really...
it just boiled way too long. It only needed 10 minutes. I don't know what he was thinking. Like, sometimes when I do make historic recipes or receipts, some people will come and be like, look, I don't know how to make it correctly, but you must have done it wrong. There must be some secret way of doing it that you just couldn't figure out, and it's like a 10 out of 10 dish. But then, in modern times, when someone gets a recipe out of a cookbook and they follow the instructions for a tea and it turns out bad, we blame the author. We say, oh, well, this recipe just wasn't good. That guy doesn't know what he's talking about. It was the same 200-some years ago. There were some bad recipes out there, and I really think that this is just a bad recipe.
I mean, I tried to like it.
I'm trying. I really want to like it.
I can't find the flavor, though.
It's just, it was boiled way too long.
Oh, I can't do the sliminess. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's the texture. The texture is pretty awful.
I'm giving these a
Oh,
1.
really? No. A 1?
Yes. And that's not towards you. That's towards the guy that wrote Boil It for an Hour.
Modern Domestic Cookery, 1828.
Yeah.
I would give these a 2 out of 10. I'm going to be a little bit more generous there. They're edible. Like, to me, 1 out of 10 would be something that's completely not edible or it tastes rotten or there's something wrong with it. Like, they are edible, but if I served this at a party, everyone
Please
there
don't.
would be talking about me behind my back. Rightfully so.
Ugh.
Yeah, they just, see, all the ingredients are there. The ingredients are perfect, but the preparation was bad. And even if you were supposed to boil it in a pudding cloth for an hour, it's just dumb because you could have just boiled them without a pudding cloth for 10 minutes and they would have been fine because that's how people make modern boiled fruit dumplings. So it's just, no matter how you look at it, it's a very strange and not successful recipe.
Nope.
No.
Well, moving on from the slimy raspberry balls, we went and visited Daniel Boone's house, which is actually not Daniel Boone's house, it's his son's house, but he did live there.
And he died there.
And he died there. But that's how people know it as Daniel Boone's house.
And it was in Defiance, Missouri, which is approximately an hour from here.
It's outside of St. Charles,
right,
Missouri. And they have recreated a village there with other houses that they've moved from the time period from other locations. So it's a very nice site. So we also got to go down the road to a 400-acre, I believe, park. The name of the park slips my mind, but the name of the house is the Daniel Boone Hayes house, which is Daniel Boone's grandson. And it's a magnificent house, the stone house. You don't really see houses that look like this in the 1830s being built in America. This looks like something built 200 years prior in Europe. It's just stone and arches, and it's beautiful.
It's a gorgeous house. Yeah, so it was owned by Daniel Boone's grandson, whose name was also Daniel. It's only 5 minutes down the road from the other Daniel Boone house we just talked about where Daniel Boone died. Daniel Boone only lived in that house for a couple years, so he was already elderly. It was his son's house. It was an early 1800s house.
Nathan Boone.
Yes, Nathan Boone built it. They started living in there sometime around 1804, 1803. And then his grandson's house down the road, the beautiful stone house, that's from 1830. So a lot of Boones live in this area, are people that are related to Daniel Boone, including Ron.
Yeah, she's a little bitter because I didn't get the inheritance.
Yeah, we were looking at this beautiful house, and I was thinking, oh, if only you had kept this in your family. Oh, I would move in tomorrow. It's absolutely gorgeous. Too. Yeah, absolutely gorgeous house on 470-something acres.
Yeah, really nice.
I just want 100.
And the worst part about it is the house is, well, when we were there, it was closed, so you couldn't go in. The really worst thing about it is I peeked through the windows. It's stripped.
The grandson's house.
There is display cases with track lighting and posters on the wall. Your typical, park museum setup, which I hate when they do. You're not going to learn history that way. Yeah, you can look at dates and timelines, but if you want to if you're going to have it in a house, the house needs to be furnished the way it would have been then.
Yes.
That's what's going to, make people go, whoa, wow, ooh, ah.
Ooh, ah.
Not, oh, look at the glass case from 1987 with track lighting. And this tomahawk that has a description next to it, or...
And it's from Pennsylvania. It's
or
not
something.
Even from the area.
Like, why?
I don't know.
These people that are in charge of this stuff should not be in charge of this stuff.
No, because...
Go work at the mall or a jewelry store and put stuff in display cases. Don't do it in a house. If you got a building that's a museum, sure. But a historical house...
should look like a house.
That has no modern stuff around it. On 400 acres, it looks, it looks like it did back then when you're outside, so when you go inside...
And then you go inside, and there's track lighting, and it's just a bunch of glass display cases, and behind the display cases, they had posters in there.
There's houses like that here in St. John, too, and I don't know what the heck they're thinking.
I don't know either. It's pretty sad. The argument could be made, well, historic furniture is so expensive, but... no,
There's reproductions.
Just go down to the antique mall or something and pick yourself up an old-looking table, for $50. I mean, really, you can put together a historic-looking house. It might not be like, oh, this table is actually from the 18th century, but it's better than putting track lighting and
Right.
display cases in there with just posters.
It might not be the chair that Daniel Boone sat in, but it could be a chair from the same time period. You can definitely get a hold of that.
Yeah, you can.
And that's good enough.
Or have someone build a reproduction of it.
There's lots of people that will make
$200.
reproductions.
Right.
I just don't understand it.
We can try a lot harder as historians. We can really do a lot better than we're doing. Yeah. We're angry!
So another place we went to, on Sunday we went to church at a 325-year-old church in Illinois, in Cahokia. Now, that church was originally founded in the late 1600s, and then they rebuilt it in the late 1700s to make it bigger.
And apparently it burned down.
Oh, it burned down?
Yeah,
okay.
It burned down, so they had to rebuild it. But it was still rebuilt with the vertical log construction. Very French of them.
And way bigger.
And guess what? It is still to this day a true Latin Mass. And by that I mean when you go there, they are going to say the Mass in Latin, like how it would have been 200, 300 years ago. Mm-hmm. And the priest was a Frenchman too, so the only one little part that wasn't English was the sermon where he talks to you about the scriptures he just read. And even that was a little hard to understand because he had a very thick French accent.
Very
it's
thick.
Very authentic, very legit. And we went there in period clothes, and it was pretty neat.
Yeah, it was a really neat building. St. Genevieve has the most vertical log structures that still exist in America. There are some in other places and up in Canada, but St. Genevieve County has the most that we know of in existence. And so it was really neat to go somewhere else to see another one of those.
Yeah, Cahokia, Illinois is only 40 minutes from where we're at. So it's really just right across the river in Illinois. So this whole area had very similar construction.
Cahokia, Illinois was actually important as well back in the 18th century. You've heard us talk about the battle at Fort San Carlos in 1780. That's the battle in St. Louis where the Arch Sansadee stood Fort San Carlos in 1780. On that same day, the Battle of Cahokia, which is right across the river from St. Louis, happened. And at the time, Illinois was considered Virginia country, so there were continental soldiers under General George Rogers Clark fighting the British and Indians there, while the Spanish and the French militias over here on the western side of the Mississippi were fighting in St. Louis, and both sides beat the British and Indians. So Cahokia has seen its fair share of action and importance in making of America.
Yeah, Cahokia, which is only 40 minutes, roughly maybe an hour from St. Genevieve, is very historically significant, not only for the time period happenings that Ron just said, but it also has the largest Native American permanent settlement north of Mexico.
The Cahokia Mounds.
Yeah, Cahokia Mounds. So right in the middle of the Midwest was a civilization that was comparable to the Aztecs and the Mayans in terms of its size. Now, the only thing that was a little different is they built their, I guess you could call them pyramids, like temples. They built it out of dirt instead of stone, like the Mayans would have, for example. So now all we have today that's left of it are these giant earthen mounds. Their other buildings were built with wood, but those no longer exist, unfortunately. But this used to be a gigantic civilization. There were a lot of Native Americans in this area, and actually when we were digging out the foundation for our homestead, we found an arrowhead while we were digging out the foundation. So this whole area is incredibly historically significant. It's rich in history for thousands of years. It's very fertile soil. It's just absolutely incredible, the history around here.
You know, I went there in 3rd grade for a field trip. Yep. I still remember it.
Yeah.
1998.
Yeah, I used to volunteer there for a little bit.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, just a little bit I did.
Well, are we ready to get into some of This Week in History?
This Week in History! Go!
Alright, so first we're going to start off with September 11th, 2001, because it's important.
Yes.
Do you remember where you were when it happened?
I was living, I believe, in Virginia at the time. I used to live in Charlottesville, Virginia. And other than that, to be honest, I don't remember. Because I was very, very young. I was in elementary school.
That's right. I was in 6th grade, and I was sitting in math class. It was the second hour, or second period, if you will, whenever the teacher turned on the TV, and we seen it.
Ron is 5 years older than me.
Yes. So I admit, at the time, at that young of age, I didn't know what the trade towers were.
Mm-hmm.
But when they turned on the news, you could obviously see what was happening.
Yes.
But there was some talk about it before the TV went on. The teachers were talking about it, and I was like, I don't know what they're talking about. Asking my friends, like, what's trade towers? You're in 6th grade. You don't know. So anyways, our hearts and thoughts and prayers go out to the families that are still hurt by that today, because some people lost both their parents.
Mm-hmm.
They read off the names, and I listen to it
every year,
and they're in alphabetical order, and you hear them say the same last name twice or 3 times. Maybe they had a son that worked there as well, or something. So it's really sad. A lot of families did not come home.
Yeah. So where were you guys when September 11 happened? How do you remember it? We will try to never ever forget it. The tremendous suffering that happened on that day and afterwards is just earth-shattering.
They one of the channels do replay all their footage from that day, and it is very hard to watch.
It's very hard to watch. People falling out, jumping out of the buildings. It's horrible.
Very, very horrible to watch. It'll bring tears to your eyes. All right, so next up I got September 12th, and this is a birthday. So happy birthday to Richard Gordon Gatling.
Who's that?
He's an American inventor. Any idea what he invented?
The Gatling gun? Oh, that was a lucky guess.
Got it right.
Wow, okay.
He was born in 1818 and he lived until 1903. He is the American inventor famous for inventing the Gatling gun, the first hand-cranked multi-firing gun. He was born in Hertford County, North Carolina.
Okay, so that was probably used during the Civil War. I'm not really sure. Oh, really? Okay, that's. I didn't know that he was born that early. That's pretty amazing.
Next up, I got for September 12th in 1857, the SS Central America sinks about 160 miles off the east coast of Cape Hatteras, North Carolina, drowning a total of 426 passengers and crew, including the captain William Lewis Herndon. The ship was carrying 14 tons of gold from the California Gold Rush.
400-something people drowned?
Yep.
When was this again?
This was in 1857.
Oh my goodness.
14 tons of gold sank with it.
Did they ever find it?
Yes. They found it, I believe, in the 1980s. It was recovered.
By a very lucky person.
I don't know what they did with the gold, but it was going to North Carolina.
Wow.
Could you imagine, that's only a few years before the Civil War starts. There might have been a different outcome if that gold would have ended up in a different hands. So, they say everything happens for a reason.
Yes, I do strongly believe everything happens for a reason. It might not be quite apparent at the time, but maybe 20 or 50 years down the road, you realize why everything fell into place the way it did. But 400-something people died. That's very tragic.
Yes. On September 13th, we have another birthday, and everybody knows who this guy is, whether you know his name or not. His name is Milton S. Hershey. He was born in 1857.
Oh, okay. I know. Now, Ron gathers these facts, and I haven't looked at them before he reads them. I seriously don't, so I don't know what he's going to say. But Hershey is his last name.
Yeah.
Okay, it's pretty obvious he was the founder of the Hershey Chocolate Company.
Yep.
Cool.
He lived until 1945.
Wow.
So he lived to be about almost 90 years old.
That's awesome. You guys out there who like Hershey chocolate? There's a big Hershey factory that you can tour. I don't remember where it's at exactly. Where is it at? Do you know? Have you been there?
I wonder if they got like the chocolate waterfall like Willy Wonka had. The river of chocolate.
I can imagine just doing backstrokes in that.
Yum, yum, yum. Yum, 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 yum.
Toss me a marshmallow.
All right, so next up for September 14th, in 1814, Francis Scott Key writes the poem Defend Fort McHenry, later known as the Star-Spangled Banner, while witnessing the bombardment of Fort McHenry from a ship in the Baltimore harbor.
So he wrote a poem that would later be turned into the song The Star-Spangled Banner.
Yes, and they put the words of his poem to a old British drinking gentleman's club game, and I don't think the Star-Spangled Banner became our national anthem until the early 1900s, maybe 1930s, I think.
Yeah, it was later, but A lot of people have made jokes like it was a real slap in the face to England to use their backtrack to our patriotic song.
That's okay. But that's actually a really long song. I was looking it up for our 4th of July celebration.
The true length of it.
Yeah, the true length of it. It's,
Because we only ever sing the first, I would say verse, the first paragraph maybe?
The first paragraph, yeah. Yeah.
But we don't actually say the entire thing. So look it up if you want to find out the whole thing.
Oh yeah, it's probably 4 times as long as
yes.
it is.
So why was he inspired to write this poem that would later be turned into the Star-Spangled Banner?
Because he was a witness to the
bombardment.
Yes.
A battle.
Yes.
Between British forces
and
American forces at the fort
during the War of 1812.
Yes, and he was so moved by the fact that after all of the bombs and everything, he still saw the American flag flying in the distance that he wrote a poem. And that poem would later be turned into the Star-Spangled Banner.
That's correct. All right, next up, September 15th. Happy birthday to the 27th United States President, William Howard Taft.
Okay, happy birthday!
Happy birthday. He lived until 1930. Looks like he was president from 1909 to 1913. He's from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Good to know.
Next up, September 16th in 1620, the Mayflower leaves Plymouth, England with 102 pilgrims and about 30 for the crew for the New World.
Wow. When was that? What year?
1620.
1620. They
the
were
old
leaving
Mayflower.
On the Mayflower, the infamous Mayflower, to come to the New World.
I got 2 more here for September 16th. Did you know that Boston had a different name originally?
Boston. I did not know that, but that's not very surprising because a lot of major cities had different names.
Like New York?
Yeah, New York.
Amsterdam?
Exactly. New York City used to be called New Amsterdam.
So, in 1630, Massachusetts village of Shawmut changes its name to Boston. Boston's a lot easier to say.
Shawmut? Can you imagine someone with a Boston accent saying Shawmut? It just, no wonder they changed it. It just didn't work with that twang. Shawmut.
So that was interesting. And my last birthday, which is September 16th, in 1875, James Cash Penney is born. Now, does anybody know who James Cash Penney is?
I actually do not know who that is.
Do you know who he is?
Do you know who that is? Because I know Ron knows who it is.
You're going to be like, no way. When I say it.
Sean Cash?
Think of his name.
Is he Johnny Cash? Who's named Cash?
No.
I don't know whose name is Cash.
Listen to his whole name. James Cash Penney. What's his initials?
JCP? Did he find JC Penney?
Yes.
Oh man, that's a lucky guess. I feel really proud of myself right now.
I get my blue jeans in there.
Whoa, when was he born?
1875.
Oh.
James Cash Penney, the American department store founder of J.C. Penney, was born in Hamilton, Missouri.
Oh wow, that's pretty close to here. Okay.
It's up north above St. Louis.
He's from the Midwest. That's neat.
Yep. I think the first J.C. Penney opened in Wisconsin, maybe? Which is, I don't know. I'll get back to you on that. But
Thank you for your patience in allowing me to guess that. I really needed that patience.
Now, he lived a pretty long life, from 1875 to 1971. So he almost made it to 100. He was, what would that be? 96? Yeah, 96 years old.
Splendid. So the secret of a long life is to shop at JCPenney. You heard it here first. That's pretty neat. I can honestly say I've never actually bought anything from JCPenney.
Really?
No, I don't recall.
Quite a bit from there. They sell the good blue jeans there. They're expensive.
Really?
Like the Levi's.
Okay, Levi's. They sell Levi's. Yeah, I don't recall ever. Mall stores are just too expensive usually. I go in there to window shop. They say older people, like my grandma, she likes going to the mall just to walk around and get exercise. That's me.
I got me a Calvin Klein 3-piece suit from JCPenney.
Really, you did? How old were you?
I don't know. It was before I knew you, but
oh, okay.
It don't fit me no more.
I was picturing you being like 8 years old.
It's too big on me. It ain't too tight.
Oh.
I bought it maybe 10 years ago, before I was going to the gym.
Yeah, so Ron actually lost a significant amount of weight before he met me.
I used to travel a lot, and I just ate
Yeah.
travel food. I was
Yeah.
probably 250 pounds. I'm 225 now, and I feel great. So
That's good.
for a 6'2", 225 is a sweet spot right there.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I bought it when I was 250. So it's a little baggy.
Okay, well, in a way, congratulations on it being baggy. Health is very important, and you feel better, so that's good.
But hey, you might have noticed we got some new muds. This is a thistle. And I don't know what it is at the bottom. It looks like 2 R's, so I'm gonna go with that. I got this at the gift shop at the Daniel Boone home site that we were talking about earlier, and these are handmade, and that one came from the same place. They are from Missouri Rivers. I'll just say pottery.
Yeah.
The logos kind of wore off.
We got these for $15 each, and I absolutely adore them.
Had to have it.
Again, not sponsored. I just like talking about my cool, quirky finds. Now, speaking of $15, what is so special about $15? On the ground next to me, by my foot, is a big old box of pottery that we got from a flea market.
Well, China,
yes. We got it from a flea market, it was like a week ago, for $15. I'm going to try and attempt to put it on this table. And I really need your help with this one, guys, because...
Get them out of here.
Bye. So the brand on the bottom of these plates says Wedgwood. Wedgwood. That is a very significant and very pricey and very bougie company that makes fine china and has been making fine china for hundreds of years. But I am not quite sure if it's legit. Because we got this whole thing for $15.
I'm surprised that bottom stayed together.
Yeah. So we will put in some up-close photos of the front and the back of these china plates, and I need your help to tell me, is this legit Wedgwood, or is this a fake, or is it a company that purposefully named themselves Wedgwood, but they're not actually Wedgwood, because sometimes companies do that, they're real shady.
So you think it's too good to be true because we got it for $15?
I think it's too good to be true. Also, I'm really wondering why it says Countryside Wedgwood. Like, is this... It's another brand, isn't it? But you know what? It's okay if it isn't because it's beautiful anyway.
And it's for $15, and this pot came with it, actually.
Yes.
Now, this is not marked on the bottom,
this
but it
is
was in
not,
the box.
Yeah, this is not Wedgwood.
And she said, you can have it. And I was like, okay.
Yeah,
I
she just
really like this.
threw it in there for free. It was like, okay. So we got a lot. Let me show you.
So we got the saucers.
Yeah, we have all these saucers, and there's no teacups, so it's a little unfortunate, but...
And then there's like a salad bowl.
It says
or a serving bowl.
Wedgwood Co. Limited? England. Trademark founded in 1635. So that's the thing. It's like founded in 1635 like Wedgwood is. A genuine hand engraving, all decoration under the glaze, detergent and acid resisting colors.
Okay, now see there's another one here that is stamped. It says Wedgwood. It says made in England.
Right.
64, so 1964.
Does it really?
Yeah.
All it says is 64.
So that would be 1964 probably.
Okay.
There's 3 different, show them that. There's 3 different styles of these logos that say Wedgwood with the unicorn on it.
We are very confused.
So.
Please help us out. Is there anyone out there that has any kind of expertise in identifying Wedgwood?
It says genuine hand engraved, like you said.
Right.
Very interesting.
We have a ridiculous amount of
so some are the
platters.
The tea platters, and some are actual saucers, but they're the same picture on them. They go to the same set.
Yeah. Now she did throw in the occasional random unrelated one like this.
It's still blue and white.
This one says Nasco, hand painted in Japan, Lakeview. My mom, she collects Japanese pottery, Noritake. She collects Noritake. Let me put this one elsewhere.
I like the serving bowl. I like it a lot better when it's got a big old pile of mashed potatoes in it.
That is a very nice bowl. You could use it for so many things. We also have these dinner plates. We got all of this for $15, including that this tea kettle here.
Can't beat that deal.
Yeah, and this whole set has the same pattern on it. It's a bridge with a castle in the background. This is just very peculiar. Okay, now this one says something different on it. It says, Wedgwood founded in 1835. This is really weird.
But didn't it say 1600 a while ago?
Yeah, another one said 1600 and something. I think that's it. Yeah, there's still the $15 price tag on it. I mean, it's just very...
I think that's a 6, because the other ones say 1635, and it's just black.
Okay. Okay, so...
Some are more faded than the other ones, so... This one's faded, this one's more bolder.
Yeah. So we got all of this for $15. I mean, no matter what, I'm not gonna complain. Whether it's Wedgwood or not, it doesn't, I mean, yeah, it would be really cool, obviously, if it is, but even if it isn't, we'll still eat off of it. So we thought, like, we could use this for our everyday eating at our new homestead house. So,
very nice.
Yeah, very nice for $15. I wish it came with the teacups to go with this insane amount of teacup plates. But it's okay, and we got cereal bowls here. Let's see, 1, 2, we got 4 cereal bowls. How many?
Small cereal bowls.
That's technically a cereal bowl. So let me see how many dinner plates.
This is a cereal.
This is a modern cereal bowl. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 9 dinner plates.
Okay.
That's absolutely fantastic. I mean, we don't know that many people in our lives. we don't know 10 people, only 9 people. So we're totally fine.
Hey, you want to see what I got for $9.99?
What?
I bought something for $9.99.
I feel like we're just showing all our bargains now.
This!
Oh,
the
yeah!
Air Blasters Pirate Pistol Flintlock.
Tell them where you got that from.
I got this from Cracker Barrel. So, when we were on our adventures over this past weekend at the Boone House and that old 325-year-old church, we decided to go for a brunch at Cracker Barrel with some friends.
Naturally.
And we went through the gift shop afterwards, like we always do. And I seen this. And I was like, I got to have this.
It was $9.99.
So, let me try this.
Let's test it out.
Let me try this out.
It's a Nerf gun.
Modeled after a Charleville flintlock pistol.
This is the ultimate toy for a kid or someone who identifies as a kid. As I do. Very unrelated to anything we just talked about, but I mean, we just want to show all the cool random things we're getting.
Just get out of there. There we go.
And
now,
you love
I
it.
never had a Nerf gun when I was a kid. I didn't do them. I shot real guns.
Does this have an actual ramrod?
I don't think so.
Oh.
Let's see here.
That would have been $12.99 instead of $11.99.
Now, how do you... Did I want to break it? Oh, so you... Wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
How do you... So you just...
I don't know.
Oh, it hit the gooeys.
I can't believe you just shot me. Who do I have to call about this? I can't believe you just shot our viewers.
These actually go pretty far.
That was so rude.
They get the suction cups. Let's see if it sticks to the window.
I thought you were going to say, let's see if it sticks to your head for a second. I was about to hit you with this fly swatter. Try to hit me and I'm going to deflect it.
I don't understand why it won't, Oh, wait. Maybe that's it.
Come on, try to hit and I will try to deflect it with the fly swatter.
Okay.
I'm so scared.
You have to...
Just don't aim for my face. Aim for the fly swatter.
Twinkle and golden fire.
Blow the smoke off.
Anyways, was it worth the $9.99?
Sure. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Well, we hope you all have a good rest of the week, and we get to see you again next week. It's always so much fun hanging out with you guys. So Stay safe. We love you. Thank you for everything. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. We'll see you next time, and hopefully we're not boiling something next week.
Better not be.
Okay, y'all. See you next week. We love you. Take care.
Bye-bye. See, they're real.
Yes, they're very real. To all you guys out there that say we have LED candles,
yeah, there's no way.
I'll prove it to you. I'll take my hand and put it in here.
Don't do that. Just blow it out.
Okay, it's not, it's real. There you go.